for coming by the podcast. You know what? People don't realize this. You walk into my office, you're not the first person. I've had people just stop by and they're like, hey, we're going to jump on a podcast right now. They're like, no, I'm not. I'm like, yes, you are. Whenever you come to my office in downtown Riverside, just always be prepared to be jumping on a podcast. So thank you so much for stopping by.
Yeah, I would have had like my hair done, my makeup did,
Oh my gosh.
Get ready for, cameras, but I thought we were going to sit down and chat about the podcast.
No. Listen, I just realized on December 6th, I have 7 podcasts in one day. No, 6 podcasts in one day. Like, it's just too much time to, like, chat up. Because then it's like, whatever we're talking about there, we just put on camera, it'd be the same thing, so.
Oh, that's okay. I'm always half ready for anything. So.
I could tell. So why don't you tell people who you are?
So, my name is Anna Brown, and we are opening a really cool business here in downtown. And we've committed to Riverside since we decided to do this. We moved here. We bought a historic home here. We got super involved with the community and try to show up for other businesses as much as we can and try to meet as many people as we can. And again, we're opening a pretty amazing business and a concept that is not new, but it definitely is new for Riverside, and it definitely will allow for commerce to evolve in Riverside, especially for smaller business owners.
Yeah, so where are you guys from then?
So I'm from Corona. So
okay.
Originally I was from LA, and then we moved to Corona, and then I moved back to LA just for a small stint, and then my husband is from San Diego.
All right.
And then he moved to Arizona for a small stint. He went to school in Flagstaff, and then we both bought a house in Corona when we got, we were getting married, and then from Corona we moved out here.
And Riverside, Corona is actually, if people are not from here, it's like 2 different worlds.
Absolutely.
It's not even like, yes, they touch on a map, but it's not even close to being the same. Not even close.
No, I think Corona is still like very much like the suburbs. There's not a whole lot going on, and then when people think of downtown Riverside, they just don't even understand that it is a full-on downtown area.
It's huge,
and there's amazing eateries and amazing things to do, and there's nightlife, and people don't understand that. But yeah, Corona is completely different, and my husband and I were just talking about this last night because I went on a run with my dog and my son, and we came downtown and through the Festival of Lights, and I was so excited. 2.5 miles later, I was telling him how great it was to just go out the front door and be able to do that. And in Corona, I would have never been as motivated to do that because there's not as much.
It's all track homes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, it's just Dos Lagos. That's kind of really what you got there.
Yeah. We lived actually in the downtown area in Corona, and still,
off like 6th Street over there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Main and 6th, up in the circle,
mm-hmm.
and while it is up and coming, and there are new developments in the works, we waited for them 6 years there, and they didn't happen. So we started coming out here to Riverside to eat, to
mm-hmm.
exercise on Mount Rubidoux, and that's how we started recognizing that there was a need for retail out here, because we would come and eat, and then there was not much more to do because the retail's kind of closed a little bit early, and so that was kind of like how we got directed to doing what we're doing. And we never thought we were going to do this. 2 years ago, I would have told you, if you would have asked me what our 5-year plan was, this was never in the plan.
I was like asking this question to people who start their own businesses. Do you remember the moment that you were like, this is what we're doing, or like the idea came to you, or it came to your husband, or it came to you, and you told each other, and you're like, did it go like you're crazy, or did it go like this is a great idea?
Absolutely, all of the above. So it was me, and so my husband and I are the yin and the yang.
Me and my girl are the same way.
Yeah, like crazy, entrepreneurial spirit. Like, let's always be investing. Let's always be moving. And my husband is like, very like 401k and very conservative. And so we balance each other out. And so I'll never forget it. I was going through something pretty traumatic, and I was being sued, just to kind of give you an idea.
We've all been there before sometimes.
And so I was being sued, and my livelihood was being threatened, and I realized that at the end of the day, what I was doing, while it was providing a great living, it wasn't as fulfilling as I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were walking on Mount Rubidoux, me and one of my friends that lives out here. And I was just kind of asking myself, like, okay, what would you do if you could wake up every single day, put your feet on the ground, and then you open, you set out for your day. And then what is that thing that you're going to do that makes you so happy? And I think everybody should ask themselves that question.
I think it's the question is, if you won the lotto, that's the question I always ask. If you win the lotto, what would you do? And when people ask me that question, I was like, I would just be doing the same thing I'm doing now, but like on a way bigger scale.
Yeah.
Like a massive 20,000 square foot warehouse with multiple podcast rooms and like I would really be doing the same. I wouldn't want to change anything.
Or like on a boat in Thailand.
Yeah.
And invite your guests to, stay a week with you.
So that used to be our first podcast. It was called Cool Places with Cool People, and we'd always go on location in 2019, and then COVID hit. So like we did one on a boat, we did one in a car. Like our goal was to do one on a private plane, right? Yeah. That was like the main goal. And then COVID hit, and then I got super busy with work. And so then it was like, okay, we don't have the time to like pack everything up, go there, drive 45 minutes to do one, drive back. So it's like, it's a lot easier when it's here.
Bring
but
it
like,
to you. Yeah.
But yeah, like, I just think that was a question. So you had a moment you're like, what would it be? And
yeah, what would that be? I wake up every day and I get to go do something, and what would that something be? And so we were walking on Mount Rubidoux, and I thought, oh my goodness, I want to open a wellness studio, and maybe I'll take some classes to become a life coach, because I really want to help people. And I really want to bring a lot of practices that aren't normally used by the people that need it the most. So sometimes I think like yoga would really benefit people that get turned off by yoga, by the idea of the yoga studios, like, oh, I don't bend that way, or oh, I'm not skinny, or oh, I'm not young, and so I thought, meditations, sound baths, and so I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to incorporate a lifestyle for people that would normally be turned off by these ideas, and so I want to do a wellness studio. We'll sell plants and crystals, and we'll have full moon parties. And then I just kind of started developing all these ideas. And then Downtown Riverside was always the place. And so, kind of like off the mic and camera, we're talking about the opportunities that are Riverside. And that was very obvious to me that the opportunity was here. We didn't need to do this where there was already a saturation. Yeah. And so
there's like in LA or Orange County, like there's one on every block.
Yeah, so I wanted to bring it here, and so I was looking for a facility. Like immediately, I literally came off the mountain and started like driving through downtown, and I was like, I'm gonna find a location, 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. I called my husband. I'm like, this is what I'm doing. He's like, okay. And so, but really the idea started developing into something different almost instantaneously. And so then with finding this building, the idea changed. Yeah. And it was like that, another aha moment. So we went to go look at the building that pretty much days after the lease sign went up. And as soon as I opened the door, and I tell everybody this, you could have blindfolded me at that moment, and I could have told you what that building was going to be.
Nice.
And so I had that moment. I was like, I know what this is going to be. This is going to be, retail, and my wellness studio is going to be built back in the corner. And so we're still going to have that, but we're going to have this huge space for other small businesses to be able to have a footprint in Riverside. And so that was my aha moment. And then so anyways, I did call my husband that day when I opened the building, and I said, you're not going to believe this. This is what we're doing. This is how much the rent is. It has, you know, a 26 car parking lot attached to it.
Yeah, because in the back, right?
Yeah. And I said, it's 8,300 square feet.
It's huge.
And he goes, no. He just said, no. And I said, no, you've got to see it. You're going to feel it. You got to come. And so he did. And he felt it. And he was like, okay. And that was the aha moment. I was like, okay, we're going to do this. And then that was like super fun. The ideas were coming. It felt good. You have all that adrenaline. And then you get to work.
In reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then a year and a half later, you know, nothing's happening because you're going through permitting and the architect and you're not seeing anything tangible.
It's so slow.
Yeah. And so you lose your adrenaline and, you know, the momentum kind of like takes a backseat to your everyday life. And everybody's like, oh, how's the business going? Oh, you're still doing that? And that's probably the thing that would like irritate me the most. It's like, yeah, I'm still doing that. What do you think? It's just gonna happen?
I know. It's so funny because no one sees like the outcome, like all the little steps. You know what I mean? And then they just see like the finished product, and you're like, dude, you don't even know the steps. And I think that's kind of the hard part of the life we live in nowadays is that we don't, you know, social media. It's like you don't want to show your failures. Not like in my world because we do real estate, so it's like I don't want to show my failures because I don't want a client to think that we're not up to par. But then it's like this happens to everyone.
Yes.
And then it's like, it's like we're giving the clients a false existence on the process of what it's like to buy and sell homes. But then you don't want to show your flaws because then it's like, what if that loses me a client? Yes. And so it's like this like nasty world of like, what do? You know what I mean?
Yeah, they don't see the bad stuff, you know, and so, and in the process, you know, I have said, if you know a small business owner of a restaurant, whatever it is, like you high five them because you don't understand, you know, the angst and, you know, the amount of work that opening a business entails.
And the fear, it's super scary.
Yeah.
It's very scary. I mean, it's something I never regretted, but like, there's so many moments where you sit in a room by yourself and go like, should I be doing this? Or like, do I just stop? Do I just shut down shop? Like, do I just walk away? Yeah. Oh, sleepless nights where you just lay in bed and you're like my phone will, I feel bad. My phone is next to me and like I'll be laying in bed. I'll have an idea and I'm like, I roll over and I'm like, have to write it down in my notes or remember. I'm like, oh, and I'll like shoot an email out to my assistant. You know what I mean? Just because it's like, this has to get taken care of. Like it has to be done and it has to like, and then you kind of freak out and then it's, you know. Yeah,
no. And it's your, you know, like for us, it's our life savings.
Oh, for sure.
And so you have, that's it. It's just you. It's just you at the end of the day, you know, and I remember like so many instances where you get faced with a challenge and then you think, oh my goodness, is this the end?
Yeah.
Is this going to be like, you know, the thing that
the thing that bankrupts you.
Yeah, the thing that you say, I can't overcome this hurdle. You know, financially, it just doesn't make sense for me to do
keep
this.
Going.
Yeah, and we were there a few times where, you know, it was like, oh, this inspection showed this, and so now we have to go with this, and oh, the I'll give you a perfect example, the roll-up door in the back. You know, we thought...
I think I saw this on your story. Did you put this on your story?
Yeah,
I did. I saw this.
We couldn't grandfather the old roll-up door because they needed a push-out door. And it was a $40,000 unforeseen.
Yeah.
That door was $40,000, and it's like, okay, well, will the landlord say, well, that's a tenant issue, and make us cover it? Which at that point, no, we could not cover that. Or, you know, is it you know, like a building safety issue, which then falls on the landlord. You know, and will the landlord be willing to do that, or say, you know what, it's already been, you know, X amount of dollars to try to open, and it's not feasible for us, so maybe we're just going to sell the building as is, and the what ifs, and
And nothing's instant. I want everyone to know this. It's not like you make a call and the person goes yes or no on the phone. It is, we'll call you back.
Yeah.
Because then they have to hop on the phone, and then they're calling their attorneys, and then they're figuring out costs, and then they're making calls to confirm that that's how much it's going to cost. And that's the thing that people don't work in this space don't process. Like, it's like real estate. Like, why don't we have an answer yet? It's like, you're asking for like $20,000. Like, this person has to think about it.
Yeah.
They're gonna call people about it. It's not like, you're picking up a dinner tab.
No, absolutely. That is so observant. Absolutely. So that's the other thing. It was like, okay, so we have a situation, we have the solution, but the solution is very costly, and you have to wait, and you have to sit after you've already invested at this point, $60,000 with architects and this and this and that, and you're sitting there and you're thinking, I won't be able to move past this.
Yeah.
And you've gambled, right?
It's all gambling.
Then the other thing, we had, and then once you break ground, you don't know what you're going to hit. And that was something else that happened, and it was a 2-month delay.
Yeah.
And that was incredibly challenging, and the cost of that repair was unbelievable. And just, so when we hit that issue, again, it was 2 weeks before we knew what the solution.
And that's all you're thinking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now you're putting everyone on hold.
Well, everybody's on hold.
Yes.
And some people get a little anxious with you, and now you're feeling like you're letting people down, and you're trying to keep the momentum.
In you?
Yeah, and to be excited for everybody when people are not excited, or they, start changing their mind about something, and you just have to stay focused and say, okay, you know what? I had so much faith that up until this point, it got me here, and I never thought I'd be here. So I just need to have enough faith to get me to there, because it's the only thing that's propelled me to the next milestone.
Yeah.
And we've gotten there, but yeah, so, tying it back to what people don't see is like, oh, you're not open yet, or wow, you're still working on that? Yeah. It doesn't happen instantaneously.
No.
And so if there is a small owner, a business owner that anybody knows, you gotta like high five them and be like, all right, you did it, because it's incredibly
it's definitely difficult, especially it's hard because it's like, I think like it's like 50% of the world gets it, and then 50% of the people who have 9-to-5s, work in the government, or things like that, who have never had it. And so like the whole time it's like you're pushing, like online, and you're posting, you're trying to create the new content, and you're trying to do all these things just to stay in front of these people. And then they get like, God, all this person never does is post their job. It's like, dude, this is my livelihood. Like, if I do not do my job, like, I love when people get mad at us. I'm like, I'm just trying. You put your information on my website. I'm just calling you because you showed me that you might want to buy or sell a house. Like, this is my job. If I don't make this call, then there's no chance I ever make money, and then I have to fire all my staff, and that's the problem.
Yeah. That phone call or that email or that post, that is the thing between you and your next client.
Exactly.
Your next customer, your next source.
The next source of income to keep the momentum going.
Absolutely. I'm in sales as well, and I always say this is my motto, and I always say, don't quit your day job. Oh my Lord. Don't quit your day job while working on your day dream.
Yes.
And so, aside from all of this, like, we still have a full-time occupation, both my husband and I, because we need to keep
the income coming in.
And we're both, I'm in sales. And so, I'll stand in front of a door before I go in a cold call. And it's always like super nerve-wracking. And just to say, like, there is no business on this side of the door. 100%.
Like, it's a guarantee.
Guaranteed right here on this side of this door. There is zero business. The only possibility of business is
on the other side.
On the other side of this door.
You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
And that gives me the motivation to knock on that door or to cross that threshold. And the fear of rejection and all of that is gone because I know that is my job.
Yeah.
That is where, you know.
You're a better person than me. I have never cold called or door knocked. I do
Really?
it more than anything else in this world. It's a big fear factor of mine. I can't get over it. Like when I tell people I've never cold called or door knocked and they're like, how do you sell so many houses? I'm like, I put out a lot of content.
Yes.
I make a lot of videos.
Well, you can be one of my first clients. Yeah. I'm going to coach you.
Yeah, I can't. Like, I literally, like... And then for me, it's like going back to our... We were talking, like, about if you won the lotto. Like, I'm like... I'd rather sometimes make less money and do exactly what I'd want to do than make more money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that people don't process. Like, I would totally do it if I made this one. There is a barrier where you start... That's what people don't get to. The higher you get up, the more you're less like, I really don't want to do that. Like, I really don't want to do that.
Yeah. So, you know, we... And I'm sure you do too. I'm sure you do real estate, but because of your success there, you have taken it into other endeavors.
Well, we're on a podcast right now, aren't we?
We're on a podcast, so this is another one of your endeavors. You
Yeah.
know, maybe you have investment properties.
Yes.
Maybe
Yeah.
you know, so you have branched out.
Exactly.
And so, my husband and I, we are always working.
Yes.
Always. And people are always like, oh my goodness. We were at Home Depot last night at 8:30 at night, and we were having so much fun. We took our dog, you know, our baby, who's 5, is not a baby, but you know, and that's how we spend time together.
That's the fun stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you love what you're doing, you're not working.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you hear that a lot from people. People are like, oh, girl, you know, happy people.
Mm-hmm.
But it's so true, you know.
Yeah.
If you love what you're doing, you're not really working.
And I think if it's yours too, like if you're building your business, it's kind of your baby, and so it's like you kind of have. It's like I love my corgis, but I don't really like dogs. Like people are like, oh, you love dogs? I'm like, not really. I only love my dogs. Kind of the same thing with business. Like I love my business. You know what I mean? Because it's my baby, and so it's like it's a little different when you're doing it for you. You know, It's like me and my girlfriend is also in real estate. She just turned 36 the other day, and like we're in Laguna, and like we had an early dinner, and then we got a hotel, and literally like we're like doing our yearly goals for next year and planning. And people are like, you literally are on the beach in Laguna, and that's what you're doing on her birthday. I'm like, yeah, that's what we want to do. We want to sit down, just us two in a peaceful place and go like, hey, what are our goals for next year? What is your goal? What is success going to look to you? And people are like, you guys are so lame. I'm like, dude, that makes us happy.
Oh my gosh.
Like that is so much fun.
Yeah, you have the energy of the ocean.
The energy of the ocean, no phones on, just us two. The kids aren't there, you know what I mean? So, and then the dogs aren't there, and it's like, okay, like you should know what your partner thinks success looks like in their eyes.
Yeah.
And they should know what success looks like in your eyes. Yeah. So then you can then work towards that.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that answer, then, but yeah, we're weirdos. Like people are like, you guys are so weird. I'm like,
that's A-okay. You know, during Thanksgiving, we had a very similar conversation with some family, and they were just like, "Man, you guys never stop." And I said, "I don't know who's keeping up with who."
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if I'm keeping up with him or if he's keeping up with me, but this is what we do, and it's our hobby, and we love it, and we definitely have a 5-year plan, and we know what that looks like, and you know, kind of like tapping into the subject of relationships, like you should definitely be with the person that, like, if you like to wake up at 4:30 in the morning.
Oh yeah, they have to be up at 4:30.
Yeah.
We get up at 4:30 we try. The goal is always 4:30, unless it was like a late night before. But it's like 4:30. We get up. I journal. She journals. I work out. She works out. Like, I had a client one time. She did. She was the Riverside County or Riverside City's mediator for divorces. And I remember she's like, Adam, you want some great advice? I was like, I would love great advice from you. She's like, when you're young, different. You want different. You want to date different because that's exciting, and you want different. He goes, when you get older, you're gonna want the same.
The same.
You're gonna want the same. You're gonna want the person who's clean if you're clean. You're gonna want the person who wakes up early if you wake up early. Like in the beginning, it's exciting, and then you get older and you get annoyed by it.
Yeah.
She goes, that's why people get divorced. They get married too young. They want different. Then they realize when they get older, they really want the same. Like, let's make life a little easier.
You know, I can't imagine, you know, if you like to be an early bird and, you know, go work out and, you know, get your house in order and get, you know, your emails sorted, you know, before the sun comes up, being with someone who likes to wake up at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Doesn't work.
Like, you just thought,
and then they're late, so it's like, when do you spend time together?
Yeah.
So you guys are early risers?
we are early risers. We love it. We go to bed early.
I go to bed. If I'm not in bed by 9, we have an issue.
Yeah, about 8:30
Yeah.
is when we like to be in bed. You know, 9:30 is probably the latest. But we go to sleep early, and we wake up super early, even on the weekends.
I like the quiet time.
Yeah.
It's a time where no one's calling you.
Yeah.
It's the moment in time that you know that you have quiet. Like, I don't answer my clients' calls before 9 a.m.
Okay.
Unless it is like literally the world is on fire and we need to solve something. And I've had clients go like, why do you do that? And I go, because I know I'm going to take your calls at 6 or 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So I got to pick one. I can't not take your, like, I'm not going to answer your calls at 7 a.m. and then also answer your calls at 7 p.m. Like, I also need my time.
Yeah.
And if you can't respect that, then we're just not going to work, man.
Yeah, setting boundaries is good.
Yeah.
I like to get up early and take care of all of my operational things, the things that I don't want to get a phone call in the middle of and have to deal with, you know, my dog or my kid or somebody needs to be tended to. And so I like to get it all out of the way, and then so I can leave the daylight for the things that I like to do. And we've just always woken up early. Like, it's not like a chore.
And then it just becomes a routine.
Yeah.
And I've learned that it's not the waking up early part that I have an issue with or people have an issue with. I tell them it's like, it's not like, oh, I can't get up early, Adam. How do you get up early? I'm like, it's not the earliness. You got to realize you got to treat your alarm 4:30 just like your alarm to go to bed. Like, you have to go to bed at midnight. You can't go to bed at midnight and you're going to get up at 4:30. It's just not going to happen.
So let me ask you this. So based on very similar lifestyles, Michael and I do not drink. And going back to like being super boring, we always joke about this, that we are super boring.
Yes.
So, you know, there's never going to be a night where we just let loose and then we, you know, we're hungover.
Yeah.
And so Sunday is just, you know, gone
Dead
because
day.
we're just so sick of, you know, the night before. And that has been, I believe, instrumental for us. So, I mean, you go to sleep, but I guess my question is, do you guys let loose, or are you pretty regimented?
Oh, no, I turn it on.
Oh, you turn it on. Okay.
Yeah. I'll rip one loose every once in a while. Yeah.
Okay.
For me, I think it's all balanced. You know what I mean? Like, if I have something to do tomorrow, I won't.
Yeah.
But like I don't drink at the house. I don't have alcohol at my house. I have no desire to drink at my house. I have no desire to drink at my house. But like, I also, in the space that I live in, like, I'm a big entertainer.
Okay.
So I like entertaining people, like, especially right now, we're in my office across from the Main Street, or Mission Inn. So like, Festival Light Time for me is like, well, if I'm working here, I have people literally be like, yo, are you in the office? See lights on? Yeah. Okay, can I come up? Like, you know. So I like entertaining. But for me, like, it is something that I have been thinking about. Like, I want to stop drinking moving forward just to see, because I did it last year. I didn't drink for 90 days. So I know I can do it. So for me, it's one of those things where I almost want to start treating alcohol like I only get to drink it if I get an accomplishment. And that is a reward. Not like I need it, but like, you shouldn't be able to drink on a Tuesday.
Okay.
Like, meaning like, you don't get to do that unless you get to do this.
Okay.
So, do you know who Rob Dyrdek is?
Yes.
So Rob Deerdeck, I've been infatuated with him like the last few weeks because he's been doing podcasts, and he kind of talks about the same thing. Like he goes like, he rates every single one of his days. It's insane. He goes, I rate my days, and I have learned, but when I wake up early and I work out and I meditate and I do all these things, I have 8, 9, or 10. Mm-hmm. When I eat like crap, I spend all night and I drink, my days are 4s. He's like, so yes, do I turn it on every once? Yeah, like when we go on vacation or whatever. But he's like, I have learned when I come back from vacation and I've been drinking and eating like crap, I have to give myself 3 days to come back, because I know my mind is foggy and I don't want to make big decisions on that. So that's one of the things I hear. It's like, how many times do I do that? And I think what it comes back to is consistently waking up at 4:30. If you have to get up at 4:30 in the morning, you're not going to stay up night. But like Friday, we have a gala, so it's kind of like, shit, and I don't really like talking to people. That's weird to say. It's very true. So for me, I don't know if it's like anxiety or whatever, but like, or I get really bored.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with having conversation? Because it seems like all the things we're talking about. Do you ever struggle with like talking to people like not in your space? I kind of get bored when I go to big events because I really have no one to talk to on a level that I want to talk about. So I kind of like, well, I guess I'll just drink.
Yes.
So alcohol for me is just boredom most of the time.
Yeah, and a gazillion years ago, I used to smoke, and that was my excuse.
Oh, cigarettes?
Yeah, and I used to get out of situations by saying, I know I'm going to go outside.
Yeah.
Or I would just find my way out of a room with the excuse.
I was like, I'm going to go do this.
Yeah, so that, because I was like bored in a space or uncomfortable or, whatever. But I'm talking like 20 years ago.
I was just...
like maybe 20 years ago.
Yeah.
So... in the beginning, it was definitely a lot more difficult for me to navigate a room of people making small talk without the buffer of alcohol.
Yeah.
But and this is really interesting because I feel like part of my personal development, because I'm always challenging myself to do something that's going to take me out of my comfort zone.
Got it.
And so this is really interesting, and it's going to bring me right back to the city of Riverside, because when we decided to do this here in Riverside, I said I've always done networking for sales, and never really enjoyed it, and would get super high anxiety to talk to people. And definitely many of times saying, gosh, I wish I was drinking, because in the situation like this, it just would, make it,
so much easier, calmer.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I just feel like I need to have something in my hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Okay, so, yes.
And I don't want to grab my phone.
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's rude.
Yes.
So what I did was I joined the chamber.
Oh, that's a rough room to walk in.
Oh, yeah.
That is if you're not part of the Riverside Chamber, that room on Good Morning Tuesday or whatever it's called is literally the roughest room.
Good Morning Riverside.
Good Morning Riverside is the hardest room to walk into if you know no one.
Yes, absolutely.
It is. I would rather go do stand-up comedy and open mic night than walk into that room.
It is a tight-knit group.
It's
it is
niche.
It is. But here's the thing. So I decided to join, and when I went, I thought, okay, how do I get more involved in my community? Because I want to open a business in this community, and I don't want to be a taker.
Yeah.
I want to be a giver too. So how, this is my best way to learn my community and be part of the inner workings of where I want to run my business, right?
Yeah.
And so I started with the chamber, and then I decided to become an ambassador for the chamber.
She's gonna try to recruit me, right?
No, I'm not. But it was very tough, and it completely took me outside of my comfort zone.
And it's Tuesday. Was it Tuesday or Thursday?
So it's Thursday mornings at 7:30 a.m.
Yeah.
That's the Good Morning Riverside.
And that's the hard part. You can't drink at that time because then you're frowned upon.
No.
You're frowned upon if you drink at the 7:30 meeting.
And if you dare grab one of the pastries or
I do. They eye you up.
and it's like, really, you eat that at 7:30 in the morning? Gosh, but anyways, yeah.
Side note: do not grab the pastries.
No. We drink the coffee, eat the pastry. It's one day a month. But what it really did do is it encouraged me to have to say hi to people, to have to talk about my business, and so then the cool part about that was that I learned to talk to people and talk about them, listen to them, and carry a conversation, with asking questions about what they were feeding me. So it's like, okay, well, you just have to keep.
It's like being on a first date.
Yeah, they're feeding you information, and you just keep it going. And then you find in that conversation you have things in common, and kind of like what we're doing.
It's like podcasting.
Yeah.
Actually, I am planning on joining the chamber again. But the last time I joined the chamber, when I first moved my office down here, was for real estate, and I was like, this just didn't work. But I want to join the chamber for the podcast.
Okay. Yeah, I think that'd be a fantastic idea.
Because one time, Adrian, thanks a lot, Adrian. He clipped a clip from a vlog once, and I was on the phone with someone, and I said, if you're in real estate and you go to networking events and all you do is real estate, then stop going to networking events because you bring nothing to the table compared to everyone else in the room. Because it's like, oh, you sell real estate, I sell real estate, I do loans, and that's what a lot of people hate about us. It's like, oh, you come into these networking events and all you guys just sell real estate, and then I was like, I'd rather go in as I do a podcast for small businesses, and this is what I do, and I'd love to have you on because hopefully there comes a day where I just get paid to do this.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I know, right?
Yeah, so we're going back to learning how to mingle in a room and do it completely sober.
Yeah.
And so I remember going to the first few events and I knew nobody. Maybe I knew one person that had from the chamber, and I kind of started saying hi to people. But you know what? The most amazing thing happened, and it was like the greatest lesson for me was. I kept showing up and my group kept growing.
Nice.
And my networking group kept growing. And guess what? It works.
Yeah.
I met the right people.
Especially in Riverside.
Yes.
It's a very tight-knit town, and when you want something done, like I'm a member of Victoria Club, and I have been in positions where I needed something and I knew someone there did that, and I'm like, in the city, and I make a call, and they're like, yeah, no problem.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, okay, yeah, let me talk to so and so, we'll get this done.
Yeah, and taking it back all the way back to being on one side of the door where there's no business and nothing happening, and then crossing that threshold where things are happening. Networking, getting out of your shell, and not making excuses why something's not working for you. That's
a you problem.
Yeah, that's on one side of the door. You got to get on the other side of the door where things are happening and you're meeting the right people and where the things happen.
You got to be I think that's the thing that I'm a big believer on, taking action and results will come from it. I'm not a big planner. Like an idea, I'm like, okay, this is what we do, but let's just go do it today.
Yes.
And then we'll see where it takes us.
Yeah.
It's and that's what we try to tell people all the time. Hey, stop. Don't look at your place that you built over 2 years and compare yourself I want to do this, but this person's already here. It's like, dude, it took me 24 months and all these things to get here. And I think that's something that I think we're trying to let people know, and that's why I like doing the podcast is this is where this person started. So if you're in that same place that this person was, you can also get to there.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, going back, when I say don't quit your day job working on your daydream. Oh my gosh, I lost my train of thought. It's going to come back to me. I just know it. Oh my Lord.
So
okay, got it. Okay, so, oh my goodness. Okay.
So how did you balance having a job? Your husband has a job. You're creating this business, which is people don't know, 8,400 square feet. This place is 2,200 square feet, and I remember trying to do this with contractors, and I wanted to kill all of them.
Yeah.
Because it was so this person didn't show up, or the painter did it wrong. They painted the wrong color in 3 offices. I'm like, where did you even get that paint? Anyways, not here or there. So how did you guys have the balance? Was like you're saying, don't quit your day job and work on a daydream. Like, was managing this stuff all at night, or were you able to, in a position where it's like, I'm going to take an hour break from my actual job to focus on this and then come back to it? Or how were you able to balance those?
You pepper things. Mm-hmm. So you pepper things, and believe it or not, you overlayer things. So in some of my networking events, I'm here because I'm actually opening a new business here in Downtown Riverside. But let me tell you what else I do.
Oh, nice.
Because I've got a day job while I'm working on my daydream.
Yeah.
And so I would...
What a good line.
And so I would...
That should be a shirt.
Thank you. I know. I've actually Googled this. So I really wanted, so I layered it. And again, you have to...
Are they connected at all? Or no?
No, not at all, which is wonderful. I wanted to spread myself out and not be 100% reliant in one industry. Mm-hmm. I was there in 2008. I still have PTSD.
Were you in real estate? Are you currently in real estate?
Well, I'm not going to disclose that right now, but we can off air.
Okay.
I just didn't want to disclose licensing numbers and all of that and be out of compliance. You know what I'm saying?
You know, it's so... Side note. I get so annoyed when they come like, I've gotten fined, I'll admit it. I've been fined for an Instagram post, $2,500.
Yes.
For something stupid.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is what...
You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
You guys are worried about, this literally doesn't affect the consumer, doesn't affect anyone else, doesn't affect anyone, and you want to bang me $2,500, but then you'll allow these people over here intentionally screwing clients over or whatever, or being shady as can be, and that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Side note. Anyways.
Yeah, no, side note, but, but...
It's so frustrating.
But yeah, we layer I've been able to layer things, and it's just a balancing thing. And like I said, if my day is starting at 4:30 in the morning, I'm already 4 hours ahead of the game for most people. And so I work smart. And so the other thing is, like, what you have to do, right? Yeah. How much time you should allow for something, and by what time you should get something done. And that's important to define these parameters. And the other thing is, you have to hire people.
You have to
hire. You
can't do this on your own.
Mm-mm.
Too many people make that mistake.
Yeah. And we learned by trial and error, and then we were like, hey, we would have already made X amount of dollars if we had just hired somebody and been done with this 4 months ago.
And hiring good people.
Yeah.
Do not go cheap.
Yeah. And but it's a trial and error thing. Hire people and spend the money to do it right, and in the long run it's cheaper, and if you're doing your books right, it's a write-off at the end. So it's like what you think you're saving, if you really put it down on paper. And one other thing I always tell people is money is not linear. So don't look at money like ABC, because sometimes like what you think you're saving, because like, I don't want to pay interest on that, or I don't want to finance, or it's like, okay, but it's going to cost you so much more in the long run than just having paid the interest to do something, or to have borrowed the money, or to have put it on your credit card.
Yeah.
But and then the other thing you said that was really cool is there is no roadmap.
Yeah.
You got to just do it.
You have to
get on the other side of that door and just
you have to just go out and do, because it's never going to go right. It's never going to be perfect. And I don't think people process the amount of time and how much work it takes to get where whatever this is, that like takes people years, like even take this podcast room. People come in here and they're like, oh, this is such a cool setup. I'm like, this is our fourth setup. I went cheap on the mics one time, and I regretted that. I was wasted $300. We did this different. We did that different. We did this different. And so now, when people call me, they're like, hey, I want to do a podcast. I'm like, you're going to order these mics, and you're going to order this recorder, you're going to order these cameras, and you're going to order this. And it's interesting because the very most successful people that I know that are way bigger than me, that do hundreds and probably close to $1 billion more in sales than I do, they know that this is what I know, and they have no problem picking the phone up, having a 10-minute call with me. Hey, we want to do what you do. What do we need? Text me everything we need to buy, and we're going to buy it. And then a week later, they're doing it. And that is what I've learned from successful people. Find someone who already knows how to do it, copy them, and do it very quickly.
So I totally remembered when you said that, what we were talking about. There is never such a thing as too much.
Never.
So every time, and this has happened with all of my endeavors, whether it was rental properties, whether it was when I, did my other career or my career before that, that may have layered each other for many years. But, well, there's already so much of that.
Yeah.
And successful people will tell you how they did it, and they will show you how they
exactly.
did it. They're not afraid of competition.
None.
Because there's too much market for competition. So one of the things, when I was coming into Downtown Riverside, and talking to vendors, and they're so scared to pull the trigger, which, by the way, I'll give you the breakdown of our costs, and it's less than $40 a day of sales that you have to make to pay your rent.
Yeah.
If you don't think you can sell $40 of something a day, you don't deserve a brick and mortar, and maybe you shouldn't be looking at this.
And here's the thing too, not every person is supposed to own their own business.
Correct.
And you have to be so honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like, and the hard part, people like us or other people like going back to the social media, not posting the losses and things like that. People see you and they're like, oh, that looks easy. They got this. And it's like, my girlfriend's in real estate, but obviously we do it on a different scale. And, I have 5 employees. I have an office. I have this. I have that. So when the market slows down, I start calculating really quickly, like, okay, who are we going to let go? Or do we need to let anyone go? Do we need to cut back on these things? And I tell her all the time, I'm like, you're so lucky that it's a good and bad thing that I don't show when I'm nervous.
Yeah.
You can look at me right now and things could be great, and you can look at me now and things could be awful. Yeah. You won't know the difference.
Yeah.
Because your clients don't care. Your perception online, people don't care. Most people don't care, so it's like, well, all right, we'll figure this out.
Well, in your profession too, because I follow a ton of real estate people on Instagram.
Of course you do.
On social media.
Go on, I always love you. I'm like...
I do.
Yeah.
And I do because I like to see the difference in approach with people and what their focus is, what their
like sales style?
Yeah, their tactics and the information that they feel is relevant. Mm-hmm. And so nobody's going to post about how really, truly nerve-wracking it is in our gut with this market.
It's the worst.
Nobody's going to tell you that. They're going to be like, oh, it's a great time.
Everything's great!
And it is great.
It's always great.
Because we the professionals make the narrative.
Yeah.
Okay? And it is great, but you have to say why it's great, but also why it's bad. Yeah. But nobody's going to tell you what's bad because they only focus on that we're nervous.
Other than me.
And we see all of these like super, successful, whether they're, lenders or realtors, with
their Gucci bags.
Yeah, posting in their super fancy offices with their fancy cars and all of that. And so other people are like, oh my gosh, well, they're doing so wonderful. Believe me. There is angst.
I have a buddy of mine, I don't care, I'll say his name, Taylor Loop, and they did $3 billion last year, I think, or the last 2 years or something like that. And he's like, he laughs because he's a very honest guy, and he's like, yeah, I'll call a lender, and he's like, things are great, and he's like, okay, dude. He goes, we do way more business than you, and we're down. That means you're down. And that's who the people I try to surround myself with. Like, we had a call on Monday, and our top guys who run our thing are like, we all missed our goals this year. Yeah. Get over it. We all missed them. now moving forward in a weird market, how do we write goals that are actually probably reachable next year? And how do you determine what kind of goals you have right now? You can't double your business next year. He's like, so if you're upset that you missed your goal, we all missed them.
Right.
It is what it is. It doesn't mean we worked less. It doesn't make us less of a person. That's something I think a lot of people are going to struggle with in real estate. Is like, because I think we do take it personal when a house doesn't sell or a buyer doesn't get a house. Like, we do take it personal. And it's hard not to, because we're the face and people think it's our fault. But if rates are 8% or 7% or whatever, they're 6.5 today or whatever. I can't sell someone with their mortgage is $5,000 in Riverside. I just can't.
Yeah.
You own a mission. You live in Orange Crest. It's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath, and there's 10 of them on the market. Like, what do you want me to do about this? So it's all, for me. It's all about giving clients information and hopefully telling it them in a way where they can process it. And I think that's kind of like the way, like, I use relationships all the time, like, or like buying other things. Like, if I could buy this car and this car is the same exact car and this one's way cheaper, which one would you go buy? I go buy the cheaper one. That's the same thing with your house. There's no difference. But we have upgraded blinds. Thank you.
Nobody cares.
No one cares.
They'll probably rip them out as soon as they move in.
And everything. So going back to the wellness center. So you got December 12th as your soft drop.
Yeah, so...
Are you going to do a grand opening?
No.
Oh,
Definitely
never mind.
not.
No one show up on
Nobody
December 12th.
show up. Okay, wait, hold on. Here's how I am anticipating this to look, and I am not holding myself to any of these things like they're set in concrete, because everything up until this point has been we've had to be very fluid and adjust. And so with that said, I do want to open the doors on December 12th. I want whoever's going to be there and set up, they're going to be there and set up. Mm-hmm. The place will be clean, ready to go, and there will be no grand opening yet. I want to work out the kinks. I want people to come in and set up. There's going to be kinks, and I'm actually looking forward to them. I'm like, come on, kinks.
They're coming. Let me see them now.
Let's see them. Let's work through them, and I'm anticipating them, and I'm happy to welcome them. And then so I'm thinking the holidays will be gone, which will be great, because then we're not adding more for my friends and family to do during these times, mm-hmm. and for our future customers. So we are hoping maybe like February, do a grand opening and invite everybody, to come. But so it's a marketplace and a wellness studio.
Got it.
So the marketplace is structured to have 30 local vendors, and there's 21 10x10 booths. And what's really cool is that these vendors can come and like literally set up shop and start their business.
Nice.
It's your own business permit. It's your own insurance.
So how do they lock in for? As long as they want?
It's month to month.
Month to month, got it.
Month to month. I don't want anybody there that's not happy and not successful. Yeah. This is not the vibe I'm creating. I think you will be successful. But if it's not working for you, then it's not going to be working for me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tie people in. And that's really important. That was really, really important to me. It was like, we're creating a vibe in there.
Well, and the hard part with small business, what people don't get, until you get momentum, it can end overnight. Like, it could literally be like, something happened, we got nothing else, we're out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the hard part is like, luckily it seems like your husband, is very supportive with this idea. Like, same thing, people don't realize, like, your spouse, like, your person, the pressure that you feel on that side sometimes, luckily I don't feel that, but like, I feel bad for people who are like trying to do something new, and it's like, okay, well, hey, when's the results happening?
Yeah.
When's this happening? When's this happening? It's like, it takes time.
Tons of support at home. We're the way we worked our model is really cool, and our overhead versus our occupancy mm-hmm. is very, very what's the word I want to use here?
Favorable in your...
It is favorable to us. So even at low occupancy, getting out of the gate, we are still able to cover our overhead.
Is that a triple net lease over there? That's a personal question that I want to know.
A what?
A triple net lease?
What does that mean?
Meaning like they pay for all your electric and water. No?
No.
Oh. So like this is a triple net lease here. So like outside of running the air after 6 o'clock and after 11 on Saturday, we can't run air here on Sunday. I don't pay anything extra.
No.
So literally, it's a one flat. I'll just write a check. I'm done.
Well, my vendors, that's what it's going to be for like
them,
my vendors.
but not for you.
Not for me. I'm paying my own everything.
Got it.
We literally got that building in a shell condition. And
I know. I remember staring in there. I always thought they were going to just tear it down.
And it looked like it was about to be torn down. There was no electric panel, no electricity, not a wire that ran from the back of the building to the front of the building. Everything had
Which
been
is
ripped
crazy
out.
that Riverside allowed it for that to get to that point, and it just was like on market. And just there, I'm surprised no one, especially like, was it the Hilton next door? I'm surprised the Hilton never said anything and got that shut. I always wanted to turn, because I used to live on Market and 3rd. I don't live down here anymore, but I wish it always turned into a grocery store.
Okay.
That's what I always wanted. I'm like, God, this would be a great grocery store. I wouldn't have to drive to Ralph's. I could come in there, get everything. I could walk there, get it, walk out.
So, good segue, because...
You started a grocery store?
No, a fruit stand.
Oh, okay.
Cold pressed juices.
Nice.
Fresh cut fruit.
Nice.
So I shop at a local the fruit stand.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brick and mortar on Tekaskeet Road.
Yeah.
The Fruit Man. And so like, this is not 100%, but you know, we talked, and I said, listen, I love the Food Lab, I love the Salted Pig, I love Prohibition.
Salted Pig is gone.
What?
Yeah, it's closed down.
Since when?
A month ago, maybe. It's not there anymore.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, something else is going in there now.
Okay, now I'm super heartbroken
Yeah.
and seem completely uninformed.
Yeah.
But my God, yeah, that's.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what the Mark's gonna be great when that opens for you
Yeah.
guys.
Okay. Well, back to happy news.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but sometimes I just want something healthy and fast, and I don't want something healthy and fast that's, you know, there isn't the option. And I said, like, you know, it's going to go well with our wellness studio to offer something, you know, so I have to call the city and say, hey, what do I have to do to get a refrigerator?
Put it in there.
To put it in there. It's being prepared at a commercial kitchen up the street, and they're going to, you know, come and sell in my spot.
Isn't it so crazy? It's like your spot, and you still have to get all this approval. And all these things.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you're good because you don't want to get fined.
And you don't want to and then if you get fined, then it's even more of a headache, and then you're on their radar.
I was gonna say that puts you on the
Then the radar, and then when you're on that radar, you do not come off the radar.
Yeah.
Like when you're on there, or you piss someone off, it is not good.
Yeah. So the marketplace is gonna have. It has right now, and again, this is all fluid.
Yeah.
But right now, the way the design is we have 21 10x10 booths. You can move in and like literally set up your business. You can sit in there and run your business. Take your own sales. You can do a flex where you can use my POS system, or you can and some days you can be there taking your own sales.
Yeah.
And so if you use my POS system, which is my point of sale machine, it's 15% of the total sale to use my system and my employee. And if you 100% need to keep your day job and this is your side hustle, you know, and you just want a creative outlet, then, you know, keep stock. We'll have some room for some storage. We'll make sure your booth looks great, and you'll do your rent, and then you'll do 15% of your sales.
You know what'd be nice is like, especially going in the wintertime, like, you know, like people that do they're at the farmer's market every single week, like, you know, weather goes bad for 5 weekends in a row, and now all of a sudden
come on in.
Come on in.
We could set up some in the event space because the wellness studio is also going to double as event space. It's huge.
Oh, I mean, I don't think people realize how big 8,400 square feet is.
It's
huge.
Massive.
That's massive.
It's huge.
I just looked at a warehouse the other day where it was 5,000 square feet, and I was like, I don't know.
Oh, and it has barrel ceilings.
I can't wait to see it.
So it makes it look massive. So that's the retail. We also have some wall spaces available that are
for some art people.
So there's some wall spaces that are available for rent. But in between the wall spaces, this is super cool. We're donating all that to local artists, and we're gonna let them have real exhibits.
Nice.
Real, like legit, like have them curate their own space, sell their art. We're not taking any proceeds from the sales of their art. We're not charging them for rent. The only thing that I'm asking is to treat it like a real exhibit. And even if you sell some of your larger pieces, please leave them up. Like, I don't want empty spaces. You know, and then you can either ship them or have them come and pick it up at the end of your exhibit.
Nice.
So we want to do that all in between the spaces that are for rent. And the wall spaces are huge and they're so beautiful. We painted it all white. The trusses are like this deep espresso. So like there's like, they offset each other. It's just beautiful. And then the wellness studio, which is really, really cool, is the same concept. It's a co-op. And so again, with having to change the way we started things was like, okay, I want to be in charge of that. But then I realized it was a little bit too much to handle. And so the idea was, what if we turn it into a co-op and we rent it hourly? So if you are a yoga instructor and you've been wanting a footprint here in Riverside, but you don't merit the overhead of a full-time location.
You just host a class there.
You can host your classes at my facility. We provide the bathrooms, the space. Mm-hmm. You come, you rent per the hour, and if you want to have a class Tuesdays and Thursday nights, you book your time with me, but the only thing is you have to do your class if it's on the calendar, because we're going to have a live calendar. We're going to promote it to all of the hotels.
Oh, got it, yeah.
So if people want to come in for a drop-in class, you're there providing the class.
Especially, like, I don't think people realize, like, we have technically 4 Mission Inn. We have 4 major hotels in Riverside, and then when this convention center is going off, those hotels are completely full.
Yes.
And then, there's a talk that I think the old fire station is supposed to be a Marriott. Like, for some reason, a lot of people come down here.
Yeah.
So there's so much opportunity. And then the Mart's coming in.
Yes.
That's 150 units or something roughly right around there. Right. I'm interested to see what they get in their in the storefronts.
I am too. I had to snoop to see what their cost per square foot was going to be, because I needed to compare it to what I had going on. And I'll tell you.
I assume it has to be way more.
You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
Dollar for back when I inquired, it was a minimum of 1,000 square feet that you had to rent. Mm-hmm. That was the minimum.
Was it $225 a square foot?
It was $5 a square foot. $5. That's it. $5 everybody a square foot, and the minimum was.
So $5,000 a month for 1,000 square feet. Just kind of give people perspective. My office is 2,300 square feet across the street from the Mission Inn on Main, and I open this place at $215 a square foot.
Okay.
And that's a triple net lease, so I don't have to pay for anything else. And I think now, but I wheeled and dealed because this place was vacant for a while.
Okay.
And next door was vacant, and they had a vacancy upstairs. So I was like, hey.
Well, this place is absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Great location.
I can't wait to move.
Oh my goodness.
October, I'm out of here, everyone. If you want my office, you can take it over.
Wow.
Because kind of the same thing you're doing. I want to open a warehouse.
Okay.
I want to open 6,000 square foot warehouse. I want to have a place where I go there and I don't leave. I want to have my own gym there.
Yeah.
I want to have a golf simulator there, so we can throw events for clients. We're going to start throwing What's Good in Riverside events, so help people network with small businesses. We're going to have multiple studios, so like creators could come in and shoot their own podcast, and they'll rent space from us. So more on like the digital side. So like, I want to shoot green screen because I want to do this. Great, but you can come in, shoot green screen. Our team will, because the hard part is like, probably how you feel is like, it's do it on your own, which is costly, or hire some company that's a big marketing firm, which is also very expensive. Yeah. There's not that like, hey, I just want to do, like, we have people that rent this place. They just like are 4 dudes that want to do a podcast every week talking about sports, and maybe 50 people listen to it. They don't have thousands and thousands of dollars to rent. So we actually do a deal with them. Anyone who does podcasts here for free, they just have to promote our real estate company on their podcast.
Oh, yeah?
And that's how we do it. I mean,
I love it. I love it.
But it's so our goal. So it's like, I want to have a space where once a month I can bring a food truck in, throw in a small event.
I love it. Can I be an ambassador of your networking group?
Yeah,
awesome.
And then 11 o'clock, and then my trainer can come train me at 11 o'clock in my gym, at my office, train right there. Mm-hmm. If he wants to shoot content, because he's younger than me, he's in his 20s. If he's building coaching program, I want to shoot content. He can have his own gym to shoot content where no one will bug him. Bring in trainers there to shoot content.
And if you've learned something about, going with the flow, is like things just evolve.
Yes.
They evolve. And then all of a sudden, and I'm going to tell you something really cool that happened to me when I first started this idea. I used to see this chiropractor, and I remember I was like, I'm doing this, and I found this building, and I'm meeting with the architects, and I said, I might have to stop seeing you because, I'm going to have to put all my money towards my building. And he said to me, don't worry about money. Don't worry about money. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to worry about money. And that's not what he was saying. You had to really dig deep. And he goes, don't worry about money. You focus on the outcome. All you need to see is that building open, see the lights on, see the people walking in it, see yourself in that building. Focus on that, and the money will come.
Yeah.
So, and I'm a huge believer of, Dwayne Dyer, Bob Proctor,
Yeah, you're in the realm.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's hardcore. She's like manifest everything.
Everything. I know. You know what? I've become so good at it that my best friend, her fiance, I called him to wish him a happy birthday, and I said, I can't wait for you to live in Riverside so you can see you guys all the time.
Yeah.
And he called her and said, oh my God. Do you know what she just said to me? Do you know what's going to happen now? Because everything she says happens.
Literally, my girlfriend, everything, she's like, what did you expect? I said it. I'm like,
yeah.
She's like, favor. I'm like, oh God, here we go.
So he told me that.
So I kind of had, I was like, you got to believe, Anna. You got to believe. Mm-hmm. You got to believe. And you know what? Up until this point, we are over budget.
Yeah, we always are.
Okay, by a lot. And you know what? It's happening. And in the process, I bought a house here in Riverside. My husband and I were just talking last night how cool it is that we live less than a quarter mile from the business.
You're going to walk or no?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I try to walk as much as I can. And my son goes to a school where we can walk him to school. He chooses not to walk.
Yeah.
It's kind of a long story, but it's okay. But all of these things have just been like falling into place where, and just going back to your building and the fluidity of things. It's like you just have to build it.
Exactly.
And let it happen. And you can't be like this control freak about things. You gotta just accept that the changes are going to bring a better outcome.
Yeah. I think that's the thing too, is you have to be super crazy. Because right now, I swear, I literally went and looked at a warehouse the other day, even though my lease isn't up for a year. I just went to go walk into a warehouse and feel could I make what I want work in this space? And preparing myself, is this going to work? Is this the space I need? This is that. And then trying to picture, what I'm looking for. And people are like, why are you doing that? It's at least a year away. I'm like, you have to start now to see, okay, you're not going to just, wait until it gets to that point. You have to literally. And then the thing is, you just start thinking about it and telling people about it. And then all of a sudden, opportunities come up. And then, and then when you do walk into that space, you go okay, I've been to 10 other spaces. This is the space.
Yes.
And this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And even my buddy's an architect. I called him up. I was like, hey, I have a favor. And he's like, what? I'm like, this is what I need to do. He's like, all right, when are we doing it? I'm like, in a year. And he goes, why are you calling me now? I'm like, just so you're prepared for this. And he goes, cool. He's like, I did one for the Gap in LA. He's like, I did just what you're looking for the Gap, a big open air warehouse, for events. And he's like, I'm prepared. I'm like, cool. So you're in? He goes, yeah, I'm in. And he's like, I would love to have a piece in Riverside because he's a big Riverside guy. I'd love to have a project there to say that's my project.
Yeah.
But it's you literally have to speak it into existence.
Yeah. And
it's so crazy.
Yeah.
And what people don't get who think oh, sure, Adam, it really is that. It is believing in yourself to a level that people think you're crazy and then working your face off to get there. It's very simple.
It's you do have to work to do it. And so, I definitely reflect on where we've been, where I was. Like I said, 2 years ago, this was never in my realm of thought. And, you know, and then just to think back and then to sit to, you know, last night, you know, I said I went for my run with my child, and then I met my husband back at the building. And as I was walking up to the building and just to see the lights on.
Such a great feeling.
And I was like, oh my God, this is happening. Like,
It's
this
such a
is
feeling.
crazy. It's happening. We're doing this. And then further, and I have to, you know, I think I'd be remiss if I did not say this, but if you truly put other people in front and do things for other people, it's almost like an acceleration to your manifestation.
Yes.
So you have to truly wholeheartedly have the best interest of other people too. You can't just be this selfish person who just says, oh, I want to take, me. That attitude, I don't think creates abundance.
Yeah.
But, you know, I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, all of these people can be part of this space now. And then when I changed the wellness studio into a co-op, and just I remember that feeling of like, oh my goodness, I'm going to open this opportunity for many people to be able to also run their business down here.
I don't think people realize that when they like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, the more people it helps, the better chances to be successful.
Yeah.
And it's like so frustrating when you hear people talk like, oh, business owners and this are so greedy and taxes and corporations. Da, da, da. It's like, do you realize, like, even take Jeff Bezos, who's created Amazon, whatever. It's like, first off, that dude was literally putting books in boxes for years before he even knew who he was. Okay. First off, let's get that away. And how many moments he had in time. He went through the .com burst. Like, the guy has fought.
Yeah.
And there's probably plenty of times he's been wanting to quit and he didn't. And then too, it's like, how many jobs that guy has created. Yeah. Are they the greatest jobs? No. But you know what? They're jobs. And he's giving people money. And sadly, I think he's kind of ruined our world, because I swear every client wants everything done immediately.
Yeah.
The 2-day Amazon effect is real.
Yeah.
It is a very real thing. I definitely have felt it over the last few years where people are like, why, like, you're going, why is this not done yet?
Yeah.
I can order something on Amazon and get it back sooner than you get me an answer. It's like, dude, that's how it works.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's a good point. Is like, everybody sees Jeff Bezos now, but nobody really knows about Jeff Bezos then.
And no one wants to talk about it. It's like, you work your butt off for so long, and then you make it, and then everyone wants to like take you down. And it's like, it's crazy.
So here's a really good example. So, I've had a lot of people approach me and say, I want to open a booth, and I want to do this. And I said, okay, great. So let me help you. Let's go to the wholesale district in LA to get you started. Let's, get you in contact with some distributors. Don't worry. As you buy, you're going to learn where to buy cheaper.
Yeah.
You just got to start buying. You just got to start getting your feet wet, but you'll probably need anywhere between $5,000 and $10,000 to get started. And then they ghost me.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just not right for me. It's not right. And I think you have to risk something. You have to risk something. And I think that's the difference between doers and non-doers, is like, who was willing to put their money where their mouth was. And I remember writing, my first check to my architect that made it very, very, real to get the process started. And it was like $15,000.
I remember my first time I wrote tax money. I was
those are fun.
Oh my God. When I wrote my first tax check, I almost threw up. I was like, I am writing the biggest check of my life to the government.
Wait a minute. It's all perspective, okay? And I pay taxes and I have to write those checks. And you know what? When I write those checks, I think,
I get excited now.
yeah, I'm so blessed.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that I have to pay this because it means I made that. And because I made that, I had the opportunity. It was
like the first time ever. I was so I was 27. I was like, I could have bought my first car with this check.
Yes. Yeah. But, again, it's all perspective, right? It's like, oh, but because I made so much money, I have to pay this money.
Yeah.
And I got to do this and I got to do that. And so it's all perspective. And so same thing with the challenges that come ahead of us. It's like this happened, you know, but what was the good?
I mean, think about how many, like a lot of people that sat across from here, and you are one of them too, is like literally they started their job during COVID. So it was all the negative things that happened during COVID.
Yeah.
There is so many people that had the time and freedom to create something that they were unhappy with, and they took that time to build something during a negative time. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is that in all bad, there is some good. It's just you're willing to find the good in it. And I think like the thing is too is that the more, like we're talking about, the more people you help, the richer you become financially and spiritually, or whatever you want to say, because I don't think people see that. The feeling that I get doing these with people that go, I've never done a podcast before. None of my friends want to support my business. And then now some stranger is like, hey, I'll support you. And it's like, whoa. Like, how many people go like, how much do you charge for the podcast? I'm like, it's free. They're like, what do you mean? I go, it's costs you nothing. And then I'm like, what do I need to give you? Nothing. I was like, all I ask is you can share it. And not everyone like, just share it to your story. That's all I need from you. I was like, we'll do it all the rest for you. Just share it. And it's crazy because it's like so many people don't realize, it's like the more people you help, the more it will come back to you.
Absolutely. Do it wholeheartedly. Do it wholeheartedly. Like really, truly put that foot forward and remember. And sometimes I get discouraged and I'll say, and I have to go back to that place where it's like, okay, remember why. Your why. Remember, like, and I hate when people say, remember your why.
I know.
It's so tacky and cliche, but
like, read the book. I'm like, oh, great.
But it's like, but go back and go back to that feel good place of gratitude and fill that yourself with that gratitude in that moment. And then that'll change your perspective. And when you feel exhausted and tired and why did I do this? And oh my goodness. And why, you know, it kind of gives you that second wind to look at it in a different perspective and say, okay, this is how I'm going to work through this. Yeah. And it's okay to say, I'm going to go to sleep right now and I'm not going to solve it today. And that's going to be okay.
Or it can't be solved today.
Yeah. And I'm not going to stay up all night worrying about this because it's not going to help. But if I get a good night's sleep and I meditate about it and I pray about it, then tomorrow I'll feel differently about it. And I always do.
Yeah.
Whether it was the outcome I wanted or not, I still feel better about that outcome. And it's a good place to be because you accept things that are like just gonna happen.
Yeah.
Nothing's perfect. Nothing's, whatever.
Well, perfect now. I just forgot to hit record on this podcast.
Yeah. That was okay.
And like, hopefully one of the cameras grabbed it. And I think that's the thing. I think that's the crazy part too about it is like that. But anyways, I had a great time.
Yeah,
this is what's so great about this podcast. You never know what's going to happen on it. And I never know who. I have you, and then at 3 o'clock today, I have an up-and-coming rapper. So
oh, my God. Yeah.
So it's literally everything. It looks like someone's forced me to join the Chambers later today.
Yeah. So you let them know I sent you.
Yeah.
But it's an amazing opportunity to get to know somebody in the community. I didn't know you. Now I know you. Now, like, I am going to.
And we're so close to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to have tons of vendors.
Yeah.
And I'm sure lots of content.
Yeah.
And, if you want to take the show on the road, you can just cross the street and see what we're doing.
Yeah. We'll be there whenever you do your grand opening, for sure. But I'll stop by on the 12th. Because you know what, other thing that people don't realize? You're basically like when people are scared to throw parties because they're afraid no one shows up, you've been building the party for 2 years.
Yeah.
And you just want people to show up. That's like opening a business. It's throwing a party at your house. And you hope people show up.
Build it and they will come.
Yeah.
Build it and they will come. And that's, right now, like I said, we've had some vendors pull back and, and it's so discouraging, right? Because you think, oh my gosh, they don't like my idea. Am I too expensive? Am I too this? Am I too, and you get flooded with all of this self-doubt.
Yeah.
But then you take that deep breath, and then you say, okay, well, you're not even open yet. You're worrying about problems that haven't even arisen yet. So like, let's just open, turn on them lights, show everybody how beautiful the place is and what you're offering. And then that will. I
think that's the other thing. A lot of people just don't have vision. They can't see until it's there. They struggle to see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's very difficult. And then too, like what people don't realize is like everyone's upset there's a recession right now. Trust me, it's affecting all of us, but it's just what people don't get is like, I hate when people talk about our economy and like, oh, we have a recession. Recession needs to happen because it burns off the companies that shouldn't exist anyways. Like if you don't get through a recession, you weren't really a good company anyways. And it's kind of better off for you that you go out of business and move on than you're struggling all the time anyways.
So it's funny when we were talking about Jeff Bezos and, you know, the economy right now is, it's struggling. But if you position yourself correctly, these are the markets where people get richer.
They always do.
And so what you have to focus on is, okay, where's my liquidity? Where can I position myself? Or what can I, and then remember, so going all the way back to talking about money is not linear. Mm-hmm. So people are saying, oh, if I refinance, my rate's going to be 8% to cash out. Okay, that may be true. But if you can take that cash out money because real estate is going to be selling cheaper.
And go buy something.
And buy yourself 2 investment properties.
I know, right?
Okay. Now you've got income revenue from those 2 properties. And when the rates go back down, you refinance all 3 of them and you're making,
This is honestly the best time to buy real estate. Because if rates start going down, then everyone's kind of, like, I want everyone to realize, obviously it's not a real estate job, but like the last 3 weeks, rates have gone down and we've seen the mortgage apps go up the last 3 weeks. If rates go down, people are going to get in the market, and then you lost your window.
Yeah.
There's a perfect window. Rates are at 6.5. You can buy stuff down. I was doing homework today. People are buying stuff $50,000 below asking price in Riverside, asking for $20,000 in closing costs to buy your rate down. Like, the moment the fear leaves the market, you're gone.
Yeah.
Then everyone rushes back in, and then you miss your window.
So we're the professionals. We set the narrative.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you're leaving the narrative to the news,
that's your own fault.
The news is going to keep you engaged by putting fear into you.
100%.
And so if you keep chasing the news and that is your only source, you're doing yourself a disservice. And so I tell my real estate professionals, you are the narrative. You are you are the voice of the profession. And you have to tell, and I always tell this scenario to people. If I was to tell you right now, you can buy this house, you're going to remove your loan contingencies, remove appraisal contingencies, and you're going to pay $50,000 to $100,000 over asking price to even get your offer looked at. Or you can buy in this market where rates are a little bit higher, you can still afford the payment. Mm-hmm. You're going to get it at asking price and get a seller's credit to offset your closing cost.
I know. Isn't it crazy?
You didn't know anything about the market right now. Okay? You didn't know anything. But I gave you those 2 scenarios. In which market would you buy?
Exactly.
Okay? We are the narrative.
We are the narrative.
So when we get in people's ears, we have to tell them, like, hey, I know what they're telling you about recession and inflation and all of that. But why is it that people get richer during these times?
Because this is what they want, everyone.
That's a whole nother thing.
Well, I agree with you. It is so interesting how, honestly, I think the hard part too right now, things are slower, so it allows people more time to think, which makes them their own worst enemy. And then the reason why people are paying $50,000 above asking price a year ago is because things were happening so quickly, they didn't have time to think, and they're just like, whatever. You know what I mean?
It's fear of missing out.
Fear of missing out.
It's like the toilet. It was like toilet paper, but it was happening with houses.
Exactly.
Nobody knew why they had 6 cases of toilet paper in their house.
Because they were feared that they're not going to have anything else.
But yet there they were.
Exactly. So I'm excited to see when this opens up, December 12th. I'll be swinging by to check it out.
Okay, that's not a concrete date, but I'll be there opening the doors. If you guys want to swing by,
I'll swing by.
Fine.
And if you are a small business, looking for a place to hold your shop month to month, maybe you're testing the waters out. Maybe, it's a smart business move not to go brick and mortar right now because of the market, and you want a small place to kind of test the water out. Hit up my girl. I'm telling you, there's only 2 big expenses in business, guys. If you're new to business, it's staff and real estate.
Yeah, we got you covered.
And they got you covered. You literally, if you can't cover the small fee, then you probably need to look at yourself. Maybe this isn't what you want, or you're not having a good enough business. So thank you so much for your time. I'm really praying, Adrian, that you pulled the audio from the beginning, because I would hate to have to do this again. And you know what's crazy? As
That sounds terrible. You'd hate to do it. Was it that miserable?
no, it was great. But I don't want all the gyms miss because it's like our first time, you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone can always feel the difference. But it's funny, I have done a podcast and I had to shoot it 3 times with someone because one time my mic wasn't plugged in, one time he didn't record it, and the third time. And I was really nice to him. So now karma
This
comes
was
back to
so fun though because like it was like, hey, hi, come sit down. We're doing this right now, and it was like, wait, but like I thought like I was gonna come meet you.
No.
Like I said, you always dress 50% for anything, right?
Yeah, you just always be prepared. Literally, I've had someone show up here that was just stopping by, and I'm like, yo, let's sit down and do
It
one.
feels right,
And they're
yeah.
like, oh, okay, sure. And then 30 minutes later, we're done.
Well, you're a great conversationalist.
Thank you. Appreciate it, even though I don't like talking to people. Guys, make sure you go follow them. Go support them. Like I said, if you're a small business and you follow What's Good in Riverside and you want their information, they'll be tagged in the podcast and on the post too. If for some reason you can't figure that out or can't find their post, send me a DM. We will direct you in the right hand. Thank you so much for helping out the small
Thank
businesses. I don't
you.
think more people realize how important that is because without small businesses, you know what? Then what are we all working for? So thanks guys for watching. Until next time, please comment, share, and like. And until next time, peace.